Hello aspirants, welcome to Swadhyaya for UPSC. And today, as per the request of many students who requested me in my WhatsApp to discuss about the Indo-Nepal relations and the current affairs related to that. And hence, I came up with that video. So in this video, we are going to discuss about the Indo-Nepal relations and the current affairs, and the topic under this is the Kalapani issue. And in this channel, Swadhyaya for UPSC, we are focusing on the civil service examination for free online classes, where especially for the students who cannot afford for the coaching centers. So please do share, subscribe, and promote this channel for those who are really in need. And this all would be taken under the guidance and mentorship under me myself. So here comes our topic for the discussion. So without wasting time, please do concentrate, and I request, as this video is somewhat a little bit long, I request you people to make every point a note by your own as well. And for this material support, please do ping me to my WhatsApp number, which I am sharing in each and every slide at the bottom of the page, so that you can easily get that material. So along with that material, this video lecture will also help you not only for the prelims point of view but also for the mains aspect. But of course, I am going to make this video in two parts. In the first part, I am only concentrating on the preliminary, and in the second part, I am going to concentrate on the mains aspect as well. So the most important questions. So for the expected question for this examination, here comes. So the expected question for UPSC Civil Services Examination Preliminary 2020, keeping this in point of view, the question is like, Nepal has officially released the country's new map that claims 3 regions of Uttarakhand. So which of the following is not one of them? So here comes the options like the Laipu Lake, the Kalapani, the Pittorgarh, and Limpiyadura. So these are the 4 most important points. So which among these is not a part of that official map released by your Nepal? So this is the question, and try to get the answer here after watching this video. So here comes for the mains, the global balancing for Kalapani. And we know it very well that this Kalapani dispute is like a textbook case of an aspiring great power military occupying a strategic territory of its smaller neighbor to render diplomatic recognition insignificant. So India is acting like a big brother who interfering into the internal issues of the Nepal is the most call for the hour. Not only India, major developed countries are occupying the smaller sovereign countries, and in that context, that global balancing, how it could be, and what is the role of India's strategic development. So this is what we need to understand for the mains aspect as well. So in that regard, you need to understand that this is nothing but the dark water emerges from the springs of the remote valley in the mountains, a land of exquisite beauty, a tremendous beauty, and a land under military occupation for decades. So Kalapani lies at the western tri-border point where Nepal, India, and China meet. The Mahakali River originates from Kalapani, and that Mahakali River also called as Kali River simply, but please don't get confused. Kali River of your Western Ghats is different, and this Mahakali River of your tri-border point is different. So according to your 1816 Sagauli Treaty under Article 5, which was signed between the British East India Company and the Nepal between 1814 to 16, that so-called Mahakali River demarcates the India and Nepal. However, India has now officially claimed that Kalapani as its own, and Nepal risks forever losing a precious piece of its land. So the natural beauty of Kalapani is ellipsed only by its geographical significance. So following a humiliating defeat in the Sino-Indian War of 1962, Indian troops entered that Kalapani and built military outposts. Ever since, India has gradually intensified its occupation, with each new step creating a new outrage in Nepal. During the most recent protests, the Nepalese, who were against to India legitimizing its claims on a revised national map. So they are demanding to revise the national map of India. So the new map of India, published following the occupation of Jammu Kashmir, includes Kalapani as a part of the Pithogar district of Uttarakhand state. So India is claiming that this so-called Mahakali region or Susta region or so-called Kalapani region is a part of our India itself. And hence there comes this so-called World Balancing Act. So in 1997, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who was the then Indian Prime Minister, visited the Nepal, and over a period of time in 2014, even Prime Minister Narendra Modi also visited Nepal, and both parties, India and Nepal, agreed to find a solution to the dispute over Kalapani through the bilateral diplomatic talks. But still the occupation remains the same. So the dispute is never-ending process even today. So the Indian government maintains its new map inaccurate, while Nepal's best response is to reiterate its commitment towards resolution with mutual agreement. So nevertheless, it is apparent that the situation requires a hard power solution, but on that would require a skillful strategic balancing act. Not only India, small countries situated among the great powers of the world must forever defend their sovereignty in a precarious balance. Indeed, in the words of Prithvi Narayan Shah, the Nepal is a yam between two boulders. Moreover, at the state of the third decade of the 21st century, such small countries are increasingly threatened by great powers making claims on coveted territories. For example, for your understanding, Russia has annexed Crimea, Turkey has occupied northern Syria, and India has marched troops into Kashmir. China still vows a reunification with Taiwan, and the USA has it is having an exciting offer to purchase the Greenland. So in this context, globally, as the great powers openly scramble to occupy these and other disputed territories, they show little regard for the rules-based order that has guided international relations since the end of the World War II. So for small countries that are now the victims of the great power aggression, seeking justice in international forums may constitute a diplomatic dead end. So in this context, neither the occupation of Kashmir nor the redrawing of the map around Kalapani should be viewed as conflicts between India and its sovereign neighbors. In Kashmir, India sent troops first and dealt with legislative hurdles later. In Kalapani, India occupied the territory of 6 decades before officially including it in its national map. So mirroring Russia's strategy in Crimea, diplomatic deliberations followed rather than preceded military action. So viewed this way, the Kalapani dispute is a textbook case of an aspiring great power military occupying a strategic territory of its smaller neighbor to render diplomatic recognition insignificant. And of course, the strategic value of occupying Kalapani for India is in large part to gain an advantage against the superior revival China. So it is really a welcoming factor, and it is with China that Nepal must seek a balancing force against India. So since the war 1962 between India and China, that so-called China has surpassed India in economic and military aspects. So consequently, India needs every possible military and strategic advantage against China in the event of the possible conflict, making the borderlands of Nepal highly vulnerable to the geopolitical machineries of this pair of great powers. And aside from being a site of historical trade route, Kalapani is the origin of the Mahakali river and is relatively accessible compared to the tremendous mountain ranges surrounding it, providing an excellent location for an Indian military base to check a Chinese advantage. So in that context itself, India claimed to say that it is having its own strategical point. So that is what this global balancing for Kalapani can be seen. And more importantly, India is not only that country where it is showing its power strategically. As we said, as we discussed in this video, previous annexations by the Russia over the Crimea, the Turkey on the northern Syria. So such a type of aspects can also be seen as a trigger point in the international relations based on geopolitical in nature. So this is what the points are talking about. And in this regard, now we are going to talk about the Indo-Nepal relations. And from here onwards, you need to keep a note of every statement which we are about to discuss. And we know it very well that this India and Nepal share a unique relationship of friendship and cooperation very closely, as these two countries are very close neighbors, characterized by open borders and deep-rooted people-to-people contacts of kinship and culture. Nepal shares a border with 5 Indian states. So what are those 5 Indian states in the sense? Sikkim, West Bengal, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand. So these are the 5 most important states where this so-called Nepal is sharing its border. And hence, in this aspect, we need to know about the historical tie-ups with India and Nepal. So in those historical tie-ups, the first one comes under the religious aspect or the cultural aspect, nothing but your Hinduism as well as your Buddhism. Nepal and India share a cultural history, we know it very well. And the development of these two major religions in the whole world took its origin in this region of India and Nepal itself. So we know it very well that this Buddha was born in Lumbini, located in the present day Nepal. So later Buddha came to India where he got enlightenment. And later Buddhism spread to other parts of the world as well, especially to the corners of your Asian countries. So this is where the cultural ties we are maintaining with Nepal, India is maintaining with Nepal. Along with this cultural ties, Hinduism and Buddhism, we are having another most interesting topic called Roti Beti Ka Rishta. Roti Beti Ka Rishta. So what is this Roti Beti Ka Rishta? See, people of both countries benefit. It can be seen as a win-to-win situation. So both the countries can benefit from the open borders and unhindered movement across it. And this helps the citizens of both the countries in the aspects of livelihoods as well as to have strong people-to-people contact and close bonds through marriages and family ties. And hence this Roti Beti Ka Rishta really opened the channels to improve and develop the livelihood status of both the people, where they are coming in contact to each other very closely. They are maintaining that bonding. And then comes the next most important ties after independence in India for the first time, which comes with the name called 10 Articles Treaty. 10 Articles Treaty, also called the Indo-Nepal Treaty of Peace and Friendship, 1950. So this comes into picture. The special relations between these two nations dated back to this 1950 with the heading, with the title India-Nepal Treaty of Peace and Friendship. So it can be seen as a bilateral treaty establishing a close strategic relationship which was signed at Kathmandu. And this treaty allows the free movement of people and goods between the two nations without having any obstacles, and a close relationship can be maintained and collaboration on matters of the defense and foreign policy. So under this treaty we need to remember that the close relationship can be seen under the defense mechanism as well as the foreign policy between India and Nepal. And this treaty also allows the people of both the countries on both the hands can easily pass through the borders. And this treaty also talks about the reciprocal treatment of Indian and Nepali citizens, establishing the national treatment for both Indian and Nepalese businesses, and gives Nepal access to weaponry from India. So from this treaty it is also very clear that India is also going to help, give its helping hand to Nepal by supplying the weapons to Nepal. And this treaty is also enabled Nepal to overcome the disadvantages of being a landlocked country. So if a country is a landlocked country, then all its channels which are needed to open up for its development are going to be closed. So India is that country which really supports Nepal to not to have these type of disadvantages of being a landlocked country. And hence this India-Nepal Treaty of Peace and Friendship 1950 we are maintaining even today. So in that aspects itself, now we are going to talk about the economic ties between India and Nepal. And as we said that this so-called India-Nepal Treaty of 1950, which is allowing on both the sides people to have a better business strategies and all. Here we are now going to talk about that trade and business under this economic ties. So now this economic ties, here we are going to learn about the trade and business. The first aspect is your trade and business. So in this trade and business, we know it very well that this India is the Nepal's largest partner as well as largest source of foreign investments. So the best foreign investments, highest foreign investments to Nepal is from India. You need to keep this point in your mind. India also provides a transit for almost the entire third country trade of Nepal. Nepal uses Kolkata port for its sea trade without paying a single rupee to India. That is what the close bonding that this India and Nepal are maintaining. And Indian companies also engage in various economic activities in Nepal. And there is a Indian presence in almost all the businesses, like in the manufacturing sector, in the power sector, tourism and service sector, whatnot. In every sector of the economy of Nepal, the India's involvement and presence can be seen as a part. And hence trade and business, these are the ties between India and Nepal. And then comes India can also be seen as one of the development aided factor, which is also giving its assistance to Nepal from 1950 itself. So India gives financial and technical aid to Nepal's developmental activities. And the focus areas include the grassroots infrastructural development, health and education, water resources, and rural development. So this is what the development aid and assistance which is being provided by India to Nepal. And then comes your connectivity. So connectivity is nothing but, you know it very well that the biggest disadvantage of Nepal, as it is a landlocked country and of having a different terrain, it is difficult to it to create the connectivity towards the Tibet, which is on the north of your Nepal due to the lofty Himalayas. So in this context of connectivity, you need to understand India plays a crucial part, a major part, being the gateway of Nepal to the world with open borders and connectivity initiatives enhancing the people to people contact and economic growth and development. If there is no India, then obviously Nepal as a result can be zero in economic development. So for example, for your understanding to this aspect of connectivity, linking Sagarmat and Sagar, nothing but the developing inland waterways to enhance the movement of the cargo and provides access to the sea. This is only because of the helping hand which was lent to Nepal by India. And developing railway connectivity to link Kathmandu and Raxaul of your Bihar. So right from Kathmandu to Bihar, we are having a rail connectivity, which is also a developed project by Indians itself. So such a type of connectivity aspects were also maintaining between India and Nepal. And then comes, as we said, this cultural tie-ups is also playing a great role in the development of art and culture in almost all the academics and media on both the countries. So India is also developing, as well as on the other side the Nepal is also developing its art and culture. Even in their academics also they illustrated this. And hence India made a tie with different academics of the Nepalese government at the rural level as well as at the district level. So cultural tie-ups really enhancing that the close relationships which are maintaining between India and Nepal. And then comes the most important point here is your defense ties. So the defense ties between India and Nepal. India is that country, is the only country, let me say, which is training and equips the Nepalese army, and India is assisting in its development in the modern lines. So that modern development in the defense is only because of that helping hand given by India itself. And according to 1950 India-Nepal Treaty of Friendship, you need to understand Nepal can buy arms from India, means that support of weaponry from India can be given to Nepal. And the joint military exercises of India and Nepal are also being carrying out. And one such joint military exercise name is your Surya Kiran. So Surya Kiran is a joint military exercise between India and Nepal. The Gorkha regiments of Indian Army, are also increasing year by year, where the recruitment, especially from the hill districts of Nepal, is being taking place by the India itself. So the Nepalese people, especially in the hilly areas, the tribes, let me say, are being recruited in this Gorkhaland regiment, which is a part of our Indian army. So such a type of defense ties were also established between India and Nepal. And coming to this vulnerable conditions, as these two countries fall under this Himalayan perspective, regarding disaster management is also one of the issue which is having a close bonding between India and Nepal. So disaster management is also going to play a major role here. So Nepal, you know it very well that this Nepal is frequently prone to natural disasters, such as earthquakes we can observe, landslides we can observe, avalanches we can observe, cloud bursts, flash floods, whatnot. Almost all the major disasters can be observed in this region of your Nepal. So this is mainly due to the geographical factors that this Nepal lies in this fragile zone of Himalayas, the subtle line of Indo-Australian and Eurasian plates. So geographically, there is a huge threat regarding disasters to this region of Nepal, and hence India provides an assistance both in terms of personal aid, technical aid, and humanitarian assistance in such type of occasions which were related to the disasters. So whenever disasters are coming, then the mitigation measures which are being providing by India is really a welcome factor to cope up with the challenges of disaster by the Nepal. And then comes the most interesting topic is your multilateral ties. Multilateral ties between India and Nepal. So India and Nepal share space on several multilateral forums. And the best example you need to remember is your BBIN. BBIN, nothing but Bangladesh, Bhutan, India and Nepal. Likewise, we are also having BIMSTEC. BIMSTEC, Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation. Likewise, we are having NAM. Likewise, we are having SAARC. So these are all what? These are all comes under the multilateral ties, where India is making many of the strategical ties, diplomatic ties, defense ties, whatnot, every tie with a close bonding which is needed to maintain between the countries like India and Nepal. So these are what all these aspects historically we need to remember how far this India is supporting this Nepal in a strategic way. So it can be seen as a win-to-win situation, but on the other side, if you go deep into the understanding, then without India, Nepal cannot survive. But there comes the question, why? Why not Nepal cannot survive? And hence the answer is Nepal can survive only with the assistance provided by the developed countries, on one side India or another side the China. And hence there the trigger comes into picture. if India is not going to support Nepal, then obviously China will come and support Nepal, which can be seen as a major threat, because the border disputes which are still remaining between India and China. So keeping all these aspects, there are many challenges in relations with China as well as your Nepal. So Nepal can be seen as a buffer state, buffer country, in order to maintain, in order to take the key decisions for the development between India and China. So Nepal is a buffer state, a buffer country between India and China. So that close relations you need to understand. So in this context, there is a current affair, and that is what our original video lecture is talking about, and that is what, just observe the image here, the eastern bank of the Kali river, below this Limpiadura, which is of an around 355 square kilometers, which is supposed to be in Nepal as per the Sagoli Treaty of 1816. And what is Sagoli Treaty? Sagoli Treaty is nothing but a treaty which was signed between the British East India Company and the Nepal king. So 1814 to 1816, British East India Company and Nepal king war can be seen, and as a part of that, as a result, this Treaty of Sagoli can be seen. So according to that, this so-called Kali river eastern bank can be seen as a part of Nepal itself, and as a part of this treaty only, the present day Sikkim as well as Darjeeling and Gorkha land were taken away by the Britishers, which were previously a part of your Nepal itself. And after independence, that Britishers make those regions as a part of the treaty to become the part of our India itself. So that is what the first context is talking about. And the second context there is the 66 square kilometers Lipu Lake and the Kalapani Valley, which is showing as a part of India in the latest map released on 2nd November 2019. So these two, the Lupi Lake as well as Kalapani Valley, India is showing officially in its map that it can be seen as a part of our India itself. Whereas on the other side, the Nepal is claiming that these regions belongs to Nepal. So this is what the context is. So just have a news resemblance here. The Kalapani, a small area on the India map that borders Nepal. What is the context there? The new political map of India, recently released by the government on November 2nd, 2019, to account for the bifurcation of Jammu and Kashmir, has triggered fresh protests over an old issue in Kathmandu. What is that old issue in Kathmandu? 1950, the treaty between India and Nepal as a peace and friendship treaty, which was signed at Kathmandu. Again, that issues are coming into picture. So in this context, let us understand what about this issue is. So here, observe the map there. Kalapani is a 35 square kilometer area, and Kali river in the Kalapani region demarcates the border between India and Nepal. So that is what it is dividing. So India and Nepal is dividing by what? The Kali river, also called Mahakali river, which can be seen as a tributary of your Ganga. While the Nepal government is saying, along with the political parties of Nepal who are protesting, India has said the new map does not revise the existing boundary with Nepal. So they are claiming that this region belongs to Nepal. India is saying that it belongs to India. So the Nepal government also released officially their map, which is saying that this region is a part of Nepal itself. So India's decision, as they are claiming that this India's decision is a unilateral, which is violating the treaty of your 1950. And it can be seen as a defending point for the international border as well. So this is what the context is talking about. And now see here the India-Nepal relations, which comes under your international relations GS paper 2. The new political map of India recently released by government to account the bifurcation, which can be seen as a violation of the Kathmandu Treaty 1950. See this map, this picture, you can easily understand here. So this is what the Kalapani, and this is what the Kali river, and this is your Lipu Lake Pass, and hence this is the disputed region. This is the disputed region. So that disputed region, this disputed region is a part of India. That is what India is claiming. No, it's a part of Nepal. Nepal is claiming, and China is not interfering into this issue, because China knows when India is claiming to do so, then obviously Nepal will come and take the support and assistance of China, so that they can easily control the buffer country Nepal, and then they can use their strategic defense roles to control the borders of India as well. And hence China is not going to interfere into this topic, into this issue. And then comes the background of this current dispute, the present day dispute. As we know that Kalapani is a territory disputed between India and Nepal, but under Indian administration as a part of Pithoragarh district in Uttarakhand. So India is saying that it can be seen as a part of Pithoragarh district of your Uttarakhand itself. But here the main point here, the valley of this Kalapani forms a route from India's Kailash ranges to the Manasarovar of your Tibet. So Manasarovar is that region which can be seen an ancient pilgrim center. So from the Kailash mountain ranges of India, a direct route can be seen via this valley of Kalapani. And Kalapani lies exactly at the tri-junction of your India, China and Nepal. And here China in the sense the autonomous region of your Tibet, which was somewhat controlled by your China. And what is that river which is dividing that Kalapani? The Kali river, also called Mahakali river. So there are two most important rivers there. One is your Mahakali river watershed, and the second one is your Tinker watershed. Tinker directly comes under your Nepal itself, no issues. But Kali river, Mahakali river comes under India. That is what the issue which is protesting by the Nepali government. And hence what is the cause? And we know that this Treaty of Sagoli signed between British East India Company and Nepal in 1816 clearly defines that this Kali river can be seen as a part of Nepal's western boundary with India. So if this is Nepal, on the western side, Kali river can be seen, which is dividing India and Nepal. But what is meant by Kali river in the upper reaches is unclear. Means from where it is originating, from where it is taking its turn, from where it is going to opening its mouth to merge, these are all a big question mark. Because as it lies between the mountain streams which are come to join and to form the river, and that perennial content of this Kali river is changing its turn year by year, and hence these are the causes, these are the disputes which are needed to settle in a peaceful manner by both the countries of India and Nepal. And this is what my personal opinion is. And now comes another major area of dispute between India and Nepal, and that is nothing but your Susta region. So Susta is an area under the territorial dispute as of now in Triveni Susta, Lumbini zone, Nepal, and near Nichaul, Uttar Pradesh region. So between Nepal and Uttar Pradesh state of India, this so-called Susta can be seen as a part. So Gandak is that river, forms as an international boundary between Nepal and India in the state of Bihar. So earlier this Susta was the right bank of Gandak, which falls in Nepal. So on the right side we can observe here in this picture, and hence we can say that it is the Nepal's point. But now what happened? The river has changed its route, and Susta now falls on the left bank of this Gandak. So left side, which is controlling by India, obviously India will say that the Susta is under the India itself. But what Nepal is saying previously, it is under Nepal, and hence Susta belongs to Nepal. But what India is claiming, Susta is a part of Nepal only when it can be seen as a right bank of your Gandak river. But now, naturally, by its own, that Susta took its course of time to change its direction and route and falls under as the left tributary of Gandak, and as left tributaries of Gandak comes under the administration of India, this so-called Susta is now under India. And it is a right claim which is making by India as well. So this is, so regarding your Susta, this is another issue, a dispute between India and Nepal. And hence here, for your understanding, even for your mains examination, these are the most important static points which you need to remember. So we are going back to our ancient modern historical aspects. 1768, the modern Nepal was reunified in the latter half of 18th century when Prithvi Narayan Shah, the ruler of the small principality of the Gorkha, can be seen. 1814 to 1816, Anglo-Nepalese War, Nepal defeated, resulting Treaty of Sagoli signed. And in 1951, revolution against Rana rule came into picture in the region of your Nepal, and Shah family returns to power. 1991, parliamentary democracy established and the first parliamentary election held. And in 1996, Nepalese civil war took place, where Communist Party of Nepal, the Maoist belonging left-wing extremism, and parliamentary monarchy. Between these two, the Nepalese civil war was broke out, which was led by Dr. Baburam Bhattarai and Pushpa Kamal Dahal, popularly known as Prachanda of Nepal. So the Communist Party of Nepal established a provincial victory of the people's government at the district level in several locations. And then comes in 2005, the king declares emergency. And as a part of that emergency, which took place continuously for 2 years, and again in 2007, 7 parties, including the previous Maoist rebels and the ruling party, agreed to abolish the monarchy and declared Nepal as a federal republic. And in the elections held on 10th April 2008, the Maoists secured a simple majority. And in 2013, the second election for the new Constitution Assembly was held under a non-partisan government led by former Chief Justice Kilraj Rajmi. So these are nothing but the static points which you need to remember. And what happened from 2014, that I am going to cover in the second part, which is exclusively in for your mains. Because 2014, the strategic developments, strategic ties, multilateral ties between India and Nepal under Prime Minister Modi, we are going to talk exclusively. So that is of our second part, which is relatively for our mains examination. So these are the static points. You just remember all this, nothing more important for your international affairs to understand. And for political science students, these are all the points you need to remember at any cost. And then comes in 2015, the Constitution of Nepal. So here comes the most important issue. The Constitution of Nepal was passed saying that Nepal as a federal democratic republic, which was divided the total Nepal province into 7 parts, and it gave the political privileges to the ruling hill tribes and discriminated against the people who are living in the plains, including the Madhesis. So this is one of the most expected question for your mains. When Madhesis, who are also literally seen as a part of your Nepal, this so-called new draft constitution of Nepal, or the Nepal constitution, discriminated these Mahedis. And these Mahedis can be seen at the borders of our Nepal and India itself. And when Mahedis were not given equal proportion according to their population, priority in their context of Constitution of Nepal, they were subjected to be discriminated, and they started protests against the Nepal. And because of that protests by these Mahedis in Nepal, that so-called Indian business was totally blockaded. It was blocked. And India, because of that blocks, because these Madhesis are not allowing the Indian products or the Indian economic activities or the support from India to Nepal. They are not allowing that. And when these Mahedis were not allowing that, India's economic development is somewhat lessened, weakened. And because of that, as India is a largest democratic country and having that helping hand and maintaining the ties in multilateral levels, India interfered into the internal issue of your Nepal, and there comes the big brother role of India, which is supporting these Mahedis to give equal priority along with the hill tribes in the ruling majority population of Nepal. That really irritated the Nepalis, and from there onwards, means from 2015 onwards, hating elements towards India from the Nepalese side started, because India is asking or putting pressure to the Nepali government unofficially to give the priority to the Mahedis. Is nothing but India is supporting the Mahedis and putting that pressure on the Nepal to pass a law by ratifying, by modifying the constitution of Nepal, giving equal priority along with the hill tribes to this Mahedis. So this is what in 2015 again the ties between or the relation between India and Nepal was somewhat weakened. And in 2017 Nepal Communist Party emerged as the ruling party with the strongest majority at the central level. Not only at the central level, in out of 7 provinces, 6 provinces they claimed the power. So this is what the points are talking about. And now for your preliminary examination, quick facts, why it is in news. So because India recently released the political map after the bifurcation of the state of Jammu and Kashmir by revoking 370 article and by making the UTs of Jammu, Kashmir and Ladakh. So after that, India released a new map which is now claiming that Kalapani territory became the bone of connection between India and Nepal, which can be seen as a part of our India itself. And what are the key points to remember? In this latest political map of India, India reiterated its claims on the region that Nepal considered its own territory in Dartula district, and according to India, the historic Kalapani region forms the part of the state of Uttarakhand. So India is saying that it can be seen as a part of Uttarakhand itself, but on the other side, the Nepal is saying that it can be seen as a part of the Dracula territory of Nepal itself, and hence dispute started. So the background here, Kalapani, what do you mean by Kalapani? It is nothing but a valley which can be seen as a part of your Pithogarh district of Uttarakhand, which can be seen as a Indian route from the Kailash ranges to your Manas Rover. And what is that river which is seen as a part of that? The Kali river, which is dividing India and Nepal, which can be seen as a boundary between India and Nepal. And regarding that, what we need to recollect, the Treaty of Sagauli, which was signed between the Kingdom of Nepal and the British East India Company as a part of your Anglo-Nepalese war in the year 1814 to 16, which was happened. This Kali river as Nepal's west boundary with India, and that division in locating the source of that river from where it originates, etc., really is the major concern which resulted in the rise of this India-Nepal issue regarding this Kalapani. So both the countries on their own perspective, they are claiming their own supportive statements. And here, what is that next important current affair? I mean, parallel to this Kalapani, the Susta area, which can be seen as a disputed area between Nepal and India, but related to your Uttar Pradesh region. So here, Susta is also called on the bank of your Gandak river. Gandak river is also called Narayani in Nepal. And the change of that course, previously this Susta can be seen as the right bank tributary of this Gandak, but now it changed and forms as a left bank. If it is in right bank, then Nepal should claim that. If it is in left bank, then India should claim that. And as it is very fertile in nature, alluvial soil is very much high because of this Narayani or Gandak river or so-called Susta river. every country wants to claim to say that it can be seen as a part of their own territorial boundaries, and hence the Susta area is also one of the disputed regions between India and Nepal, is also one of the issues of concern. And here you need to remember the static data for your Kali. It is also known as Sharda River or Kali Ganga in Uttarakhand, and it joins the Gagra River in Uttar Pradesh, which can be seen as a tributary, left bank tributary of your Ganga. And more important river projects which were also recently developed were your Tanakpur hydroelectric project, Chamelia hydroelectric project, and Sharda barrage. So these are the most important points related to your Kali River. And this is what the Indo-Nepal relations, as I said in our next part, related to Indo-China relations under GS paper 2 mains. We are going to cover each and every point which was mentioned in this diagram itself, so that that can be treated as the point of mains itself. So this video lecture will help you to understand both preliminary as well as mains, the cultural ties, the diplomatic ties, the strategic ties, the multilateral ties, the defense ties, whatnot, everything we need to recollect. And keeping all these in our mind, we need to look into this issue, Kalapani issue, a major current affair and the most current important expected question for your preliminary examination. And that first question which I have asked in the first few minutes of our video: which among the following is not a region which does not falls under this Kalapani? So that is what. So I hope this video lecture really helps you to understand what exactly the issue is. And if so, if you do understand this so-called issue as a current affair, please do give your answer in the comment section. So this is all about this video. Thank you very much for watching this, and stay tuned and stay updated. Please do like, share and comment and subscribe, and hit the bell icon so that you can never miss any videos which I am about to upload. So this is all about this so-called current issue, Indo-Nepal relations. Thank you very much. Stay home, stay safe.